Well, hey guys, we are just going to wait a couple more minutes, a few more people to join here, and then we'll get started. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time here in Calgary, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. I know we've got a lot of fans in Europe as well that may or may not be up at 2 or 3 in the morning, but we'll see. Give us a couple more minutes here, guys. You can stay here. Who do we have online here? So we're streaming to YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. We got terrorists here. Excellent. So we are going to start. Thank you very much for joining us. As I mentioned, we are 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. We're coming live from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. If you don't know where we originally started from, it is Canada. We're excited to have you guys all here. We're actually streaming for the first time on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at the exact same time. With the miracle of all this cool tech, obviously, this is kind of much overdue for us, as we haven't had a major update in quite a while, due to a lot of different reasons, but mainly due to the big event that happened around the world in this last 2 years. So let me just start off by saying, we started this whole journey 3.5 years ago with a group of backers from a crowdfunding campaign, and we took that call from that crowdfunding campaign and we built something that we thought was much needed in the industry. What we found out, though, through this whole process is that everything is essentially, for us, has been a massive learning experience. And through all of that, we believe that we've continually improved the product. And we're continually trying to build features, build a product that is very unique in the marketplace. And that's some of the things we're going to talk about today in terms of the improvement of the app, the firmware, the cloud functions, and so forth, and even, the hardware as well. And you're going to see a lot of that today and also into the future here. So let me just start off by saying this last 2 years has been difficult for really everybody in the world, but especially with startups, it's been a little bit more difficult. The challenges that we face on a daily basis is obviously being able to work in one place. The second thing is there's huge supply chain issues all over the world. Our whole system is based on a microcontroller and a board. And so there's limitations just because of what's happening globally as well. We haven't had a chance until this last couple months to really be in the same room in a lot of cases. And so it's been just incredible to be back with everybody in the same room, collaborating and so forth. Things move so much faster, unbelievably fast when you're actually in the same room versus, the whole remote thing. So what I want to start off with is the changes that we're doing right now. What does it affect? Who does it affect, right? So as I mentioned at the top here, we have completely changed our firmware for this new iteration. We've completely revamped the app to make it extremely user-friendly and simple to use, and what I think is more beautiful and our team thinks is more beautiful. And then on the cloud side, we've made things just run a lot smoother. And you're going to see on this upgrade that eventually, hopefully all you guys will agree to getting. You're going to see a lot of efficiencies and just a lot more speed in everything that happens within Felix, and obviously all the other cool features. So overall, as I mentioned, stability has increased significantly. The speed. So one of the issues we had with our first Felix is that we had issues surrounding the video streaming, the quality of it, and just the overall appearance of it. It wasn't what we had imagined, and it definitely wasn't what we knew we could achieve. And so this new iteration really improves on all of that. Also, just in terms of the probes, being able to read real time versus every 20, 30 minutes as we were doing in the past. That's a huge improvement as well. Further to that as well, is we revamped our whole Wi-Fi and our whole connection via hardware. So now, if you don't have a great Wi-Fi connection, you can connect Felix right through Ethernet as well. So that's going to give you the fastest connection. Obviously, there's very, very little downtime when you're dealing with a straight line connection. The Wi-Fi has been improved dramatically as well. One of the issues is our old backers can appreciate that we had issues with connecting Wi-Fi from Felix to certain routers. We've all but eliminated that, and that's through a lot of testing this last year. So I'm happy to say that initial connection point when you're connecting your Felix for the first time is an unbelievable experience. We're going to get to a lot of those features in the coming weeks here as we look to launch this new iteration. We're aiming for the first week of September, so not too far away, where we'll release everything and get everybody onboarded into the new version of the firmware and the app. That is going to require some participation from yourself, as some of our old early adopters remember when we did a massive upgrade from the original firmware to the current firmware. We did have to have the user be there kind of monitoring the Felix as we were doing the update. This time, thankfully, you don't really have to be there, but we need a time slot from you to say that you're not going to do anything crazy while we perform the update. So I want to get into one of the biggest changes that we made with Felix. And remember, when we started off Felix, we really wanted to make sure that every user that purchased the Felix, that we always were backwards compatible. And so we've done that with this new iteration as well. So one of the biggest things you're going to notice is in our original Felix, we had 6 USB plugs here, and we had 8 sockets here. These 6 USB sockets, what we did was, when we thought of this whole idea of being able to control the system, we really thought about being able to control multiple systems. And so USB was kind of a protocol that we knew that we had to go with. We've had questions along the way. Why haven't we done B and C? Why we haven't done other connection points? But the real reason is because USB makes it very versatile, makes it easy to read. And the other thing that I just mentioned is that it allows us to connect as many different devices if we want through splitters. So what you're going to see is in your new Felix, you're going to be able to split these USB sockets an unlimited amount of times. That's pretty unique when you think about it. So with some Felix splitters, USB hubs, you'll be able to turn one connection point into 4 or 6 or 8 connection points. Why that matters again is that if you are looking to even monitor one tank, and you're looking to monitor 2 pH values, for example, one in your tank and one in your reservoir or your refugium, you're going to want possibly a way to have 2 probes and 2 measurements, possibly even 3. Maybe you have an external reservoir as well, and you want to be able to measure that as well. So Felix gives you that ability to hook up unlimited amount of probes. The other side of it is for the accessories, such as the cameras that we have and are bringing out now, you're going to be able to hook up an unlimited amount of cams. I know that on, I'm going to get burnt for this because I've put on Instagram and Facebook, social media, been talking about being able to hook up to 24 cams. The reality is, I put that number in there just to give people kind of an idea of what you could do with it. But the reality is that you can hook up as many different devices to Felix as your heart desires. So for the cameras, in some instances, in some of the setups that we have literally up to 18 cameras hooked up to a Felix at one time for testing. So that's a huge advantage. Now, why would you want so many cameras? Well, I'm going to show you in a few minutes here the versatility of having multiple cameras, multiple angles, especially when you're not in the same space or the same living area as your aquarium or your terrarium. So talking about the probes here, as most of you guys know, we always have carried the Senai probe system. So that measured your pH, ammonia, and your light readings, your water levels, and so forth. That's a great system that we still use and you can still purchase from us. But we really felt that there was a need to bring out separate individual probes just for being able to, again, add additional probes to your system, or just having a standalone probe that just to have with Felix. So we partnered with a company called Atlas Scientific in the US, and we've used their probes for the last 6 months to almost 12 months now, I guess, and they've worked fantastic. I'll show you some of them here. Get out of the screen here. So these probes, I mean, you guys are probably very familiar with the form factors of these probes. The uniqueness of these probes, so this one's an EC probe that measures salinity and TDS and EC, of course. But the brilliance of these is that we can plug them in via USB into Felix. Now again, if you needed 2, 3, 5, 10 EC probes and you wanted to measure, let's say, 4 different tanks, 5 different tanks, you could do that now with your Felix. That's a pretty cool thing. The other thing is, besides the water probes that we've always had, so we've always had the ability to measure salinity, pH, and ORP. Now what we've done is we've gone ahead and kind of looked at the other spaces and the other aquarium tank owners, and we started looking at terrariums. And so what you see now on our website is a terrarium kit. So now you can purchase, grab these, temperature humidity probes. So this monitor here, again, that can go into the back of your Felix. And again, you can have multiple monitors connected to your Felix through the splitter. So again, being able to monitor multiple locations, for example, in a big tank for a python or something like that, you'd be able to take those zone measurements. The other thing we brought out is this ground temperature and also moisture probe. So this is really fantastic for paludariums, and also if you guys have seen our social pages as of late, we've been posting a lot of pictures of these living walls systems. We were approached by a living wall company about a year ago to produce a smart wall system, which we needed to be able to develop some of these probes in order to take soil measurements. So that's a temperature moisture probe, which is a great addition to even a paludarium or a terrarium setup. The third probe that we've brought out is a pH ground probe. This is pretty significant because when we started this whole journey down the smart controller, we kind of quickly realized that people were going to use our system for things that we knew we were going to develop in the future, but we didn't realize, I guess, some of the consumers or some of the users using it for that application right away. And so we've kind of been doing a little bit of a catch-up essentially. And so we've got a lot of users out there using it for hydroponics or using our Felix for cannabis grow. In Canada, that is completely legal, and in parts of the US and obviously in Europe as well. So we decided, we better produce some probes specifically for this market, and so that's where you see some of the probes that I just showed you, plus this Atlas Scientific pH probe as well. Again, can't stress this enough. You can hook up unlimited amount of probes to your Felix. You just need to set up a USB hub. So those 3 probes are the newest kind of additions to our lineup of probes. We do have plans for additional ones. They're all in the works right now. I know we're going to get a lot of comments about, the alkalinity and, the other probes to measure different water chemistry. We have been in talks with other companies. We probably will not produce those ourselves, but we'll probably pair up with another company to get those measurements. If you have some equipment that you love, definitely put it in the comments and stuff like that. And the chances are we are probably talking to that manufacturer already. And chances are, sometime, hopefully this year or early next year, we'll onboard them. So that's the probes and the sensors. What I want to dive into right now is the app. The app is, I think the original app that we developed was fantastic for its time. Now, I'm just saying that because, I was a huge part of the UX. As most of you guys know, and if you don't already know, this whole design was based on an idea that I had, actually a love that I had for the 80s. And the first AI ever developed that I thought was the first AI anyways, and that was Kit from Knight Rider. So I was a huge fan. If you didn't catch it already, that light is literally the Kit light. I'm not sure if I should say that too loudly, but in any case, if you've followed us for a while, you've even seen David Hasselhoff do a little promo video for us in the early stages when we were just starting Felix. But in terms of the app, I want to dive in and show you kind of some of the features of the app and how we've simplified it or made it simple for the everyday user. So we can pop up on the screen here, Alex. Okay. So right now, this is the new main screen that you're going to see through Felix. It's a drastic redesign from the original kind of black dark feel that we had before. But this is kind of it's come from a ton of feedback from you guys. And so we re-looked at everything from, being able to see things quickly, buttons being big, fonts being bigger, and being able to just get to what you want quickly and create, certain events or rules quickly. And so I want to kind of showcase some of those features for you. Now, there's a lot of features packed into this app that I'm not going to talk about today, just because it would take a 2-hour stream just to be able to do that. So I'm going to go over just some really cool ones that I think are hugely beneficial to our users. The first one really is it sounds ridiculously simple, but just an on-off button that you didn't have to hold down the button to actually get it to actuate. It's literally just a press of a button. So if we move down here, we can see all the devices that are associated with this saltwater aquarium that we have on the side here, and you can immediately make changes to it. So if I wanted to change the lights just to off, I can literally just tap that button and it turns off, right? I'm going to go ahead and turn that back on, and then we're going to take you into some other features here. The next one is, in the old app, we called everything IFTTT. And for those who don't know, IFTTT is a programming rule or language, and it stands for if this, then that. We've changed that in this new app, and we now call it an event, okay? So if I go into, for example, a heater, this is probably one of the most common events or rules that someone would make. If I go into the heater here, I can go into the events now, and I can add a simple event or simple rule. So maybe I want to turn off the heater when the water temperature is greater than, so we're in Canada, so we're in Celsius here, so we're going to do 26 degrees Celsius. Let's do 26.5. Right, so you can see in this event here, we're going to be turning off the heater when the water temperature is greater than 26.5. I hit save there, and now that event is baked into the app itself, okay? All the old features, obviously, we still have the timers, we still have cycles. The cycles has been revamped a little bit as well, just to be a little bit more user-friendly. And then the settings, the whole part of this settings and being able to hook up devices, we really wanted to simplify it again. So you'll see when you're adding a device or taking away a device, it's ridiculously simple. So here, if you wanted to remove this device, which is in the heaters in socket 6 right now, you could hit remove and it would remove that right away. Okay. One of the cool features that we've added into this new app as well is the ability to see history. Now, I know that that's a pretty common thing to be able to see, your parameters history. But for us, it was always there. It's just that we didn't have an effective way to display it nicely. And now what we've done over this past 6 months, 12 months, is we really kind of rethought how we were going to display this, and we'll continually introduce new ways to view, I guess, this history. But I wanted to show you anyways, if we look at, for example, pH here, and we're on the screen here, we can go right into history, and now we can see a full 30 days history of this parameter. So pH here, it's showing the last 30 days, and we can go in and we can actually see the highs and lows and the averages as well. So that's a really neat feature that I know everybody's been asking for since the beginning, and we do apologize for it being late, but we did want to do it right, and so now it is there. You can go in here as well, and you can see throughout the day what's been going on as well if you choose to. Okay. There are other things that you can set up here as well with notifications, the alarms, and so forth. Again, those were things that we had in the old app. Now it's, I think, a lot nicer, easier to program. So again, I'll go through that at another stage here. It was so funny. I was out in March, and we were out talking to an influencer out in California, a very big YouTuber, and he was looking at the app, he loved it, and he just gave me kind of a simple idea, simple feedback, and the feedback was, when I open my app, there's just things I want to see right away. So don't show me things I don't want to see, right? And so one of the things we did build into the app was a way to pin certain sensors. So what do I actually want to see, or what does the user actually want to see? So you can pin that right to the home page. And then the other thing you can do is, and this was the recommendation from my buddy in California here, is that you can move things around now as well. So if you think that pH is kind of like the most important thing, you would just move pH right to that corner, and there you go. Now the next time you open it, pH is sitting there. So that's a pretty I think, neat little thing to be able to do with our app. Fairly simple, but simplicity, I always say in design, is actually the toughest thing to do. And so I think we've really achieved that with this. The last thing I really want to show you is the camera. We had, as most of you guys know that have purchased Felix in the past, we had a 360 camera associated with all of our with our controller. That 360 cam was good, and it was actually really revolutionary for its time. It was the only live 360 submersible cam that I know of, that I still know of, that was submersible. With submersibility, there's always, potential risks that happen. And that can be anything from, condensation to wear and tear, just because, you're in extreme conditions, sometimes in saltwater systems and so forth. So we still are supporting the 360 cam, but we're going to slowly fade that out in lieu of our 180 cam. The 180 cam is, let me kind of show it to you here. Can you grab me a 180 cam? I put it on here. So the 180 cam essentially does a few things for us. It gives us the ability to show in a fantastic view of, obviously, of your aquarium, of the space, or whatever you're trying to capture, right? But the second thing is, it really allows us to do some of the crazy things we've dreamt up from the beginning, which is a lot to do with artificial intelligence, and having a good, reliable camera to be able to do that was extremely important. And so what we did was, we did source a 1080p camera. We've sourced a 4K camera as well. The 4K cam will come out hopefully in the next few months here. But the 1080 cam comes out first. But I want to show you the quality of it. And also, I want to show you the versatility and just the cool factor of being able to hook up multiple cams into one Felix, right? So the thing I'm going to show you right off the bat is we've got a 200-gallon saltwater tank here. And I'm going to tap on this cam. And as some of you guys that have been with us for a while, the cam has always kind of been a pain point for us, just because of the streaming and so forth. And now, even with the connection, I love this. I'm going to flip it to the widescreen here. But in the past, it would take, sometimes 30 to 45 seconds to load the video. Sometimes it wouldn't even load. And I want to say two things to that. A lot of webcam and streaming is dependent on how good your Wi-Fi is. So if there's a poor connection to start off with, obviously you're going to get a poor connection as well. But that's point one. The second thing is, with that 360 submersible camera, like I said, the issue with it sometimes was that depending on the use, depending on how extreme the conditions were, definitely we encountered problems with that camera. And so this kind of eliminates that. This particular aquarium only has one camera hooked up to it, but I'm going to go ahead and step out of the way and show you this beautiful aquascape that was done by our friend Oscar. Oscar is a local aquascaper from Calgary, and there's a whole story behind how we met and so forth. But he escaped this about 2 months ago, and I think alongside these two living walls, it just looks beautiful. And we really, when we were developing this camera, we really wanted the ability to kind of reproduce. Obviously it's not the same as you being in front of it, but we wanted to come as close as possible to it. And so I'm going to go into Oscar's tank here, and we are going to go into an internal view here. So there's a camera set up right here, and it's actually Velcroed to the glass itself. Now with the camera itself, you can, let me flip the screen here. With the cam, you can connect it via a 1/4-inch tripod screw So it can really, and the GoPro little mounts and stuff like that, you can mount it right to those rigs, or you can, obviously place it on the glass itself, pointing to whatever direction you want, or just place it onto the table itself. So that's cam 1. So that's the internal view. And then now what we're going to do is we're going to go into a wide view. So I've got a camera sitting right here, and hopefully I didn't move it too much. And you can see, this camera shot here. So I'll adjust that a little bit. And now you can have a full external view of your aquarium. Obviously, if we move this a lot closer, you'd get a way better view. Glass is really interesting, obviously, with just reflections and refractions and so forth. But what we found is when the lights are off and just the lights in the aquarium are on, it looks absolutely beautiful. I'm going to show you just a third view from the same Felix here. And this is just the studio view. So we've got a camera up here. And the camera up here, you're going to see our chaotic studio here. And if Alex and Sharjeel, if you guys can wave hi to everybody. Perfect. So that's the camera. And as I mentioned, and I'll keep mentioning here, with the cams, you can have unlimited amount of cameras hooked up into it. Now, a part of the cam feature, why we had to switch to this camera, switch our whole cloud video streaming system over to this camera, to support this camera, is there's a lot of features that are being built right now that we hope to have launched sometime in the next week or 2 weeks, such as time lapse. I've previewed a couple, or I've sneak peeked a couple of time lapses over this last few weeks here, but that's going to become a reality for all of our users. So imagine being able to, to see a time lapse of your coral over 24 hours, or seeing multiple views and multiple time lapses of your aquarium over, a 30-day period, a 1-year period. Really, the sky's kind of the limit with that. And then also, one of the features that our YouTube influencers really wanted us to be able to bring to light was an ability to stream their cameras or their aquariums right to YouTube or right to Facebook. And so we're building that platform to be able to stream directly for the influencers as well, and for users. The third part of that is just being able to cast it or mirror it to your TV screen or your computer. You're going to be able to do all of that as well. Those are features that we've already incorporated into the app. It just needs to be refined, tested a little bit more, and then we'll bring those all to light. Okay. The last part of this is what I wanted to share was, again, talking about the unlimited cameras, but the unlimited probe capability. Just to reiterate what I said from the beginning here, if we bring up the app again, what I really wanted to share with you is that our dream is to have this controller be able to manage multiple ecosystems. So whether that's your 2 aquariums down in your aquarium man space, and a terrarium upstairs, or a living wall in your kitchen, or a vertical garden in your garage, the capability to do all of that is and always has been in Felix. And so it's one of the things for us. It's been a journey to bring that all to light, but it's very, very, very close to becoming a reality. In the next couple weeks, what you're going to see is we're going to reach out to all of the existing users to let them know of the upcoming changes and whether they want to update or not. Definitely, if you want to stay on the old app and the old firmware, you can definitely do that. That is definitely your prerogative. But I would seriously recommend doing the update. The second thing we're going to be doing is the whole entire branding, the website, everything's going to flip over to this new version because there's a lot of other markets that we're looking to capture as well and to be of service to. And so the website's going to reflect that as well now. That's kind of it for me at this juncture. We've got a couple more videos planned here over this next couple of weeks to really kind of showcase the features in the app. As I mentioned before, we've just really scratched the surface of it today, and I hope that gets you excited and looking forward to what's going to come in the very, very near future. But right now, what I wanted to do is I wanted to thank you guys, first of all, for coming tonight. If you're watching this not live, thank you for watching the video. But really, thank you to all of our fans over this last 3.5 years, over the pandemic, just being extremely patient with us, extremely supportive. We really couldn't have any better customers and just fans. And so thank you from the bottom of our heart for all your support. We're going to stick around here. I'm going to answer a few questions here. Sharjila's got a few, I think, that we can answer. Or what we can do is we'll stay online here for the next 15-30 minutes here. And if you've got any questions, just put them in there, and we'll get to them right away as well. Other than that, thank you again for coming, guys, and we'll chat again real soon.